So was that close? Was it 7 years you were in or so when you went to Berlin, when you got called back?
I was.
Is that about right?
I was probably around about my 8-year point.
Oh, it
then.
was about 8 years, yeah.
Yeah, I was probably about my 8-year point then. And I remember I withheld signing off because I got married. I got divorced and got remarried, and I withheld signing off so I could get a mortgage.
Okay, yeah.
So I signed off at about 8.5-year point when I got back to UK. So I came back from Berlin, went to Tidworth, and I remember getting back to Tidworth as an advance party, and the sergeant major of the advance party, I believe, was a guy called Jeff Belfield. He said, "Has anybody got any questions?" And I put my hand up and said, "Who do I see about terminating?" And he went, "Oh, Dover, why is it always you? You're a dick." I said, "Yeah, but I'm being serious, sir. Who do I see about terminating?" And he went, "Come and speak to me after." So the first day back in England at Tidworth, glorious Tidworth, I signed off. And yeah, I shouldn't have signed off. I should not have signed off.
Had the unit been moved to Tidworth, or had you been?
We was coming back from Berlin to Tidworth, and I was on an advance party because why did I come back from an advance party? I can't remember, but I came back on an advance party for some reason or other. Yeah.
Okay.
And it was just, I don't know. The battalion didn't seem like a family anymore to me. Whereas it had done when I was there for that 4 years, 5 years. It was a family. And they were closer to me than what my own family were. I think I might have said earlier or on the previous time we were talking that I didn't have a close family relationship, and my family were dysfunctional. And the battalion became my family. And there were brothers that I'd never had, and that's how close I felt to them. And I can quite easily say this, I mean it 100%. I'd have given my life for any of them guys who I spent 5 years with. Even now, some of them are still mates, and I quite happily, even now, give my life for one of them guys. But when I went back to the regiment, I can't say that of any of the new lot that came. Not one of them. Not one of them. I could quite easily say I won't piss on one of them if they're on fire. That's how much it was like, again, like night and day.
Is that what made you sign off then?
That's what, yeah. Because it had changed that much.
It changed so much. Yeah.
I couldn't believe how much it changed. I couldn't believe how much people were willing to shit on other people and drop people in the crap. I remember in Northern Ireland training, first time I went to Northern Ireland, I was living out at the time, I was married, and I got into camp, and I remember saying to, and I still won't mention his name today, but he knows who he is. I said to him, I really need a crap when Wilf does a roll call. Can you tell him where I am? Because I got bad guts. I have really bad guts. And I got charged for it because I forgot to tell him where I was. And I got charged for it. And they asked me when I was, why were you late? I said I was on the toilet. I asked one of the guys to let Sergeant Pickles know where I was. He said, who did you tell? I said, I can't remember. And I remember, because I didn't want to drop him in the shit.
Okay.
I didn't want to drop him in it, because that's how strongly I felt about people. And I'm still like that today. Even though, it might get me in the crap, I still won't, if they're a mate, I still won't give anybody's name out.
Yeah.
And I didn't then. And I ended up getting 7 days restrictions of privileges and £150 fine for missing a parade, because I won't say who I'd told. And I'll take that secret to the grave.
Yeah. I'm not going to ask you any more on that.
Yeah.
So. Don't worry.
So mind your own business, copper.
So before we move on to the next part, You mentioned about going back and forth with to Northern Ireland. How many tours did you end up doing back and forth?
I think altogether I've done 8 tours in Northern Ireland.
Some are 6 months, some are 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just all backwards and forwards, and obviously when you're only there for a couple of weeks, it doesn't go on your who's your flip flop? What's it called? I can't remember. Your little red book that you get when you get out. I don't know whether you got one when you got out. I don't know whether they do the red book anymore, do they?
No.
So you get used to get a red book with your what rating they give you from.
Like a report.
Yeah, like a report
okay.
that you
I
take.
think it's just a piece of paper now.
Is it? It's a lovely red book, it is. And it's got where you've been and the dates that you've been, but they never used to put down, you'd only been for a couple of weeks, they never used to put it down. So I think in my book I've got something like 6, 7, but I actually did a couple more than that.
Okay.
Some of them were good, some of them were easy, some of them weren't so easy.
Any standout moments that you want to share?
Standout moments, the Taban Crossroads bombing, which was a £500 bomb, which killed quite a few civil workers. They'd been working on a barracks. Taban Crossroads is a place in County Tyrone, not too far from Cookstown, and we was there at Cookstown. Can't remember the barracks name, and I was OC's radio op. So this call came out about this bombing, and we was the first patrol out there. And I wrote a poem about it. I'll show it you after if you want.
Okay.
If I can find it. I wrote a poem about it and about the emotions that I went through going out there. And you actually, we actually went out there and you see these bodies of these lads that have just been working, earning a crust for their families, to put money on the table, and to get killed for no reason than just doing work for the military. Civil workers having their lives taken out, and that angers me a lot, and it stuck with me over all this time, and that's something that I'll never forget. It was, at the time, it was like, what word at the time it was like, photo opportunity. Do you know what I mean? You know, you got all this, let's take some happy snaps of this. Do you know what you did? Well, let's take some worries, and it's not until years later you think, what was I thinking? I've still got them. I've still got the photos somewhere. I don't know where, but I've still got them. And it's not until years later you actually think, what a fucking arsehole you were pressing that tit on the the pressel on the deck, because you could see the wire. The vantage point was a farm at the top of a hill, and they could see down over the crossroads, and you could see the wire going all the way down the fence line. And I remember it like it was yesterday. Unbelievable. And you just think how mindless, how petty, how fucking stupid, just to score brownie points with who. And that's one of the things that stands out. And then getting left behind on a patrol by an officer who, I wouldn't say officer, by a cunt who shall remain nameless. Again, who went off and left me and another lad behind, and he didn't even realise.
This is a separate occasion.
This is a separate occasion. This is in Dungannon, and that's another one that stands out. I'm thinking the lad who was with me was about 18, 19-year-old, and he said, "How are we going to get back now?" And I said, "Fucking just there's Dungannon Church Tower." Again, you had one radio per team or per brick. You didn't have individual radios where you could keep in touch with each other. You had one radio per team. So we know we're getting in touch with each other. And I said, well, just fucking head for Dungannon and then go, we can go back to the barracks from there.
So what, did he take you two down on vehicle? Or how did
No,
you get
he was
there?
on a foot patrol.
You were on a foot patrol?
I was on a foot patrol and we'd stopped for something to eat.
Okay.
We were in a hedgerow. We had, I don't know whether they still do them, these hot cans, where it's like you pierce a hot can and it's eating that. And I thought, oh, it's fucking quiet. It's gone quiet. It's too quiet. So I said to the other lad who was with me, I said, can you see anything? Can you see anybody up front? And he said, no. I said, come on, let's go and have a look. So we moved forward. There was nobody there. They'd gone. So we started out across this field and happened to look across and seen the little helmet bouncing along the other side of this stone wall. Said to the other guy, there's a patrol over there, let's go and see how it is. So we went over to it, wasn't it? It was another patrol from our multiple. Seen him and he said, what are you doing here? I said, Nobed's fucked off and left us, aren't they? And he went, you're joking? I said, I'm serious, man. He's fucking gone and left us. So he got on the radio. Are you missing anything? Officer comes back. Nope, got everything. Are you sure you're not missing anything? No, I've got everything. Obviously he's trying to not give anything away over the radio because he thinks he's going to get a right fucking shoeing when he gets back if they find out he's lost two of his guys. So he said, do you not want to count the amount of things you should have and make sure you've got all the things you should have? And his VP went right out the window. And he actually came back over and he used the guy that we was with, it was a Lance Jack. He actually used his rank and his name over the airways. And he said, I'm telling you, I have got everything that I left with. Out. So the guy got back on the radio and he said, could you tell me then why I've got two of your foxhounds with me? Wait. So he come round the corner and he gave me a bollocking, blamed it all on me. And I said, you're the fucking Brit commander. You should be asking the fucking guy behind you, is the guy behind him? Is he there? Have you got everything? You should make sure before you fucking leave that fucking farmyard that we was just outside of, that you got everybody with you. And you didn't. And I remember seeing him at a funeral years later. Of a close friend of mine that died. And he came up to me and he went, come on, you know who I am. I know who you are. Let's shake hands. I went, why don't you fuck off, you dick? And that's, that was quite eye-opening. Hey, I'm still here.
Yeah.
And he's still a knobhead.
So, I suppose the amount of times you went to Northern Ireland, is there any good memories that stand out for yourself that maybe you did something for the first time, something you learned or...
Do you know, I enjoyed it over there. I loved it over there because I was doing what I joined.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Patrolling the streets, looking after people, if you like. I enjoyed it over there a lot. Going out, being stood on a cordon and people coming up to you, offering you drinks, bringing you stew out, being in, going on rural patrols and farmers coming up to you, or the wives coming up to you saying, look, I would give you something, but if I get seen by such and such a, group, my life ain't going to be worth living. And so what you see on TV, I suppose it's like, I'm saying I suppose it's like Afghan, Iraq.
Yeah.
The news only portrays bad news because bad news sells papers. Bad news boosts TV ratings. Good news doesn't. So you wouldn't see stories of like, today, a multiple of 16 British soldiers were given a cup of tea each biscuits and stew. You won't see it. It never got out there. But there were times like that when that happened. Mainly in Protestant areas, not in Catholic areas, but not every Catholic hated the Brits. A lot of them kept their mouth shut because they valued their life.
Yeah.
And you don't see things like that. Like you don't see in Dungannon, we used to have a swimming pool, an outside swimming pool, and you didn't see that. You won't put like today. These 8 squaddies had a game of water polo in cut down long johns.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You didn't see that, so you had times like that. You'd be in a helicopter. We had a helicopter, a pilot. I don't know whether he's an RAF pilot or an Army pilot. He used to call himself the Kurgan, do you know, after Highlander. So there can be only one. So that film was like, so he used to call himself the Kurgan. And he'd take the helicopter up and he'd cut the engines. So you drop straight down and you lose all gravity and your kit would be up in the air. Things like that.
That's
you know
cool.
what I mean? Yeah, I mean, people are going to think, oh, you shouldn't be mentioning things like that. Well, why not? This is like...
There was military life, right?
Yeah, 25, 30 years. I mean, yeah, the pilots, if the engines wouldn't have restarted, then we'd have been up shit great. But, do you know what? You don't really think about that. It's just something that they did to relieve the stress, to take away the anxiety that you had. You might have been going through the nervousness of going out on a patrol in the middle of wherever you were.
Yeah.
And yeah, it put a smile on my face. It put a smile on everybody's face in that helicopter.
Yeah.
Because it's just a bit of fun.
Yeah. That's good. Okay, so thank you for sharing those things. I know sometimes it can be tough to share, those things that are tough to talk about. But let's now go back to you being in Tidworth, asking, how do I terminate? And you were told to go and see, was it the Sergeant Major?
Yeah.
How was that chat? Do you remember?
It was, I don't really remember. I think it went along the lines of he still thought I was joking. And he said, why don't you give it I know it's Tidworth, I know it's a bit, it's a bit shitty, but why? I said, no, I don't want to. I've had enough. I've come, I've been away, I've come back, and I think it's changed. And it's along the lines of, I know things have changed. I just imagine how much it's changed for me. Like, he was a Sergeant Major then. Yeah. So he'd been in a lot longer than I did. And he said, do you imagine how it's like for me? He said, but you've got to accept change. And I said, but I don't trust anybody. I mean, the Sergeant Major, when I joined, I think he just got his third. He just got his sergeant when I joined. So I'd known him for quite some time. I'd known him for 9 years, basically. He was support company, and then he was support company Sergeant Major and blah, 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 blah. So he knew me, I knew him, and he said, just give it a bit of time. I said, I don't want to. I want to get out while I'm still relatively young, and I want to join the fire service, and I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want to do the other. And I had these, I'd got these dreams and ambitions of things I wanted to do. And like I say, things are just, you couldn't do corrective therapy anymore on people because they went crying off to whoever. And for me, there's a time and a place for corrective therapy. Some people need it, some people don't. And there's a difference between bullying and corrective therapy. I had it. Didn't do me any harm. No, but you did, everybody, it's something you went through. And you can't, in my opinion, somebody who's got seniority over you, you can't question that authority. Or you shouldn't question that authority. Accept it. Unless it's blatantly fucking stupid. Do you know what I mean? Like, here, just jump on that and see what happens. No. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If somebody's been a total melt, then yeah, they need a slap. And I still believe that today. You know, I still believe. Maybe I'm old school, but I still believe that if anybody's doing anything wrong, they need sorting out.
Yeah.
So they don't do it wrong again. Not like, oh, aren't you a bit silly doing it? You're in the army. Do you know what I mean? Somebody's life could depend on your actions. So yeah, you people still need a bollocking. People still need a slap.
Yeah.
I'm mouthing it back. Nah, that just nah. If you hit me, I'm going to go and tell the sergeant major. Well, I'll tell you what, bang, go and tell him. Wow.
Yeah. There's been a lot of change over the years for sure. Definitely. So what year is it that you finally leave, and what is your transition look like back to civilian life?
So I finally left I handed my ID card in on the 24th of July, 1995. And I remember that because it was exactly a month before my birthday.
Okay.
That's how I remember it. And I remember Loxy Golding who was a provost sergeant, who was a brilliant bloke, excellent bloke. And I put my earrings in because I had my ears pierced, but still pierced. So I put both earrings in because I thought I'm handing my ID card in. I'm just going to give it one last big fuck off to everybody. So I put my earrings in, and I remember going into the guard room, and I walked in, and Loxy said to me, "Get them fucking earrings out." And I gave him my ID card. I went, "Get them fucking earrings out, Mr. Dover, if you don't mind." And he went, "What, are you getting out?" I said, "Yeah." And he went, "Oh, all right, see ya." And that was it. That was it. That was my transition from being in the army to getting out. I mean, I did a pre-release course. Yeah, what did I do for my pre-release course? I learned how to operate JCBs, tracked and wheeled, and I learned how to drive a dumper. And that was it. And that was my transition. That was like, right, okay, you're in the army, you're not in the army. And that was it.
That was it. Did you have a job lined up or anything like that?
No.
No.
I came out, and that was me. I had nothing lined up. I had a young family. My daughter was something like 10 months old, but she was born 12 weeks premature. In fact, me and my wife had split up. So I was going to live, I had nowhere to live. Went and stayed with my mum and dad. Within 6 months of getting out, I was in prison. My life was a mess. Absolute mess. All my dreams, all my hopes, all my ambitions that I had were out the window. I probably went out the window. In fact, went out the window before I actually got out. Probably 4 months, 5 months before I actually got out of the army. Whether that was partly due to me being nervous about getting out, I have no idea. You know, my life went from being pretty all right to absolutely crap. Absolutely crap.
Well, you're here. So what does that look like you're no longer in the military. You're no longer in prison or anything like that. So you're obviously doing much better now. But what does that transition continuation look like to, I don't know if you want to pick out certain parts, because obviously that was a little while ago, to get you to where you are today? What turned the corner?
So I think it was actually knowing that I was going to get sent to prison changed my life. I thought it's time I got myself an education. It's time I started, learning how to do maths, do English. I think I could read and write. You know, I wasn't that bad that I couldn't read and write. I could, but my maths was shocking. My English was shocking. So I decided, right, I can go one or two ways with this prison thing. I can either learn how to become a career criminal and do this, that, and the other, or I can educate myself and make something out of my life. So I decided to educate myself and make something out of my life. I got I did my O-level maths, O-level English. I did a CLATE course, which is computer learning, information and technology, or something like that. So I did all them things. I got my HGV license while I was in prison. I finished off in an open prison, so they let you out, and I got some money together and did my HGV, passed my HGV, and looked at that sort of thing. Then I sent a load of letters off while I was still in prison. I sent letters off to people explaining to people, being honest and open about what I'd done, and asking for jobs. And, you know, I got this license, that license, the other license. Are you looking for any operators? A lot of people come back and said no, but we want people with experience. And I remember one company who said that to me, and I said, but thing is, if you don't take people who haven't got experience, that pool that you're looking into isn't going to have anybody. So the only way people get experience is by you giving people experience. Common sense. So they offered me a job, and I worked with them for a bit, for 12 months, working on building sites and stuff like that. Then I got a job as an HGV driver, delivering porta cabins and things like that. But my mood swings were getting more and more frequent. Bad night sleeps were getting more and more frequent, to where I was arguing with people, and although I wanted to change how I'd been, how I was acting as a person, something was stopping me, and I was getting worse rather than getting better. I got an education, yeah, fair enough, brilliant, but part of me that wanted to change that angry side, that angry person that I become, was still there. And I remember what made me give up driving HGV was I was coming back from London one day, and I hit a contraflow, and I used to drive a wagon and drag, and I was something like 76 foot long, and a guy pulled into the contraflow right in front of me with his son in the back of his car, and I had to slam on and swerve to miss him and hit a cone. And I remember getting out of the car, I got out, I'd stopped, and I got out of the lorry, went up to the car, the guy locked his car, and I was banging on the window, and I was calling him all the names under the sun. And then I remember saying to the boy in the back seat, I remember this is like it was yesterday, was, what's it like to know that your dad doesn't give a shit whether you live or you die? And I went and got back in the lorry, and I thought, I don't need this. I don't need this. And I was coming back to the yard in Gloucestershire, and the radio went and said, can you make your way up to Scunthorpe? And I said, no, I'm not. I'm coming dropping the vehicle off with you, and I'm going home. You can't do that. I think you'll find I can. I think you'll find I will. And I did that, and I went on to anger management courses.
So you reached out for help at that point?
Yeah. I'd done a lot of things that I'm not proud of. Things that I'll punish myself for. I'll punish myself for until the day I turn up my toes. You know, people might say, well, you've served your time and everything like that. No, I haven't. No. And so I reached out to civilian charity, civilian medical side of things. And the biggest thing was me admitting to myself that it was me that was the problem, not everybody else. and I had a visit from a guy from Combat Stress. I hadn't taken any medication or anything like that. I didn't want to. I'm ex-army. I'm a man. I don't need medication. I don't need any help. I can deal with it. I've only been to Northern Ireland, and it was the time when Afghan was a thing, and I haven't been through anything like the guys who've been to Afghan, and that's how I try to sell it to myself, that I don't deserve any help because I haven't been through anything like the guys that have been to Iraq, Afghan have been through. I'd only been to Northern Ireland. That's how I sold it to myself. And so the guy came out from Combat Stress, and he had a chat with me, and he asked me if I was on medication. And I said, no, I don't want to take medication. It was him who convinced me to take medication. That, it'll help me in the short term. It's just a short-term crutch. Better to have a crutch than limp through life. And it was like, yeah, you know what, you're right. And they took me in to Combat Stress. I went on a 6-week intensive therapy course at Leatherhead. And I was really nervous. On day one that I went there was 16 of us in a room together. And I thought, I was looking down, I wasn't looking at anybody, and the guy was asking, who's done this? And I'm putting my hand up, and I'm thinking about I'm the only one who's put my hand up, and I looked up, and there's 15 other hands up. And it's then when you realise that you're not going through this on your own. Because there's other men and there's other women out there that are going through what you're going through, that feel what you're feeling, that get angry at the same things that you get angry about, that just to most people are nothing. Like forgetting what pocket you put your wallet in, and it's not in the pocket you just checked, and where have you put it, and you're getting anxious in it, and anxiety attacks from that. People stood in doorways, and all that's kicking off. And so going through that, it made me realise, I'm not on my own. I'm not on my own. I'm not a worthless piece of shit. And that was a big thing. That's what really, really made me sit up and take a good long look at myself.
And on those courses, I'm guessing week after week, going back, seeing the same faces, that again built you up.
It was because it's like I've been out. This is around about 2012, 2013.
Okay.
That I went. So it was quite a few years after I'd come out. 15 years or so after I'd come out of the army. And I missed it a lot. I missed it a hell of a lot. And it was like going back, because you was in a bubble.
Yeah.
You're in Leatherhead. You're not coming home. I'm not coming home at night. I'm staying there. I'm living in there. And I'm with guys who've been engineers, Marines, paras, rifles, Navy. No RAF, for some strange reason. No offence, RAF guys, but hey. Do you know what I mean? And there were guys from who'd been to Northern Ireland, guys who'd been in the Falklands, stuff like that. And we all got on. It was just like being back, living in the army, just everything. Everybody got on. We all sat together. We all had meals together. We watched TV together. People knew where you were at. People would say, how are you doing? And they could see it in your face that you were having a bad day, and they'd leave you alone. They wouldn't mind, what's the matter with you, you miserable bastard? Like people, people who don't know what you're going through do.
Yeah.
It's like, what's up with you, you miserable bastard? You just put your fucking ideas up. Yeah, do you know what? If it were that easy, I would, dickhead. And so, but everybody knew where you were at. And it was good. It was belonging to something again, something that I've missed a hell of a lot. And coming away from that after 6 weeks of being, that was hard. That was hard coming away from that again. There was people that fell out of the course, fell off, and it wasn't for them. They weren't in the right place. And I think there was only, there was probably 12 of us left at the end of it, because people who got too much for them, they missed family, they missed blah, 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 blah. for whatever reason. But I struck up a really good friendship with a couple of guys, Mike and Tony. Mike's ex-Royal Marine, Tony's ex-Royal Engineer. And we used to have a laugh together. We formed a little group called the Shumulis. And I wrote a poem about how I'd felt about my PTSD affecting me and what I felt like and about how I hid it and how I felt so alone. And I turned this poem into a song and we actually recorded it. The song, Mike could play, he could play guitar a little bit. I could play drums a little bit. None of us could sing, so it was just like talking. Do you know what I mean? and Tony, he wanted to play the guitar, but he only had little stumpy fingers. And I said to him, I've got a bass guitar. Why don't you try a bass guitar? So one of the guys, one of the occupational therapists there, taught him how to play basic chords on a bass guitar. So we put some music to this poem and we recorded it. It's on YouTube actually.
Is it?
Our story's on there. Our story is on YouTube.
Oh, nice. We'll link that. I'll put that in the bottom in the notes on the YouTube side so they can go and see it. Yeah, that's cool.
So our story's on there and why we become, and we become good friends. And we still, like I said, this is 2013. We still occasionally chat to each other on Facebook or on WhatsApp.
That's cool.
Occasionally. And yeah, it was good. And I missed, again, could be the way of being taken away from that was hard. Another hard thing to face was I thought I could be cured of PTSD. I'm being told that I can't be cured of it. And that all I can do is learn to manage it. As you can see, it's still hard for me to take today.
Yeah.
Because I hate living like this. And some days are better than others.
Yeah. Some days you're stronger.
So yeah.
Some days you're weaker.
Yeah. It's horrible. Like I say, it's still hard for me to come to terms with.
Yeah.
But I'm getting there. I'm getting there. And yeah, and so that I learned a few techniques in there. And as I've told other people, when you're in that bubble, when people probably can appreciate this and can identify with it as well. When you're going through your counselling, everything's great because you're talking about it and they're teaching you these different methods, different ways of dealing with it. And that's all right because you're focusing on that. But when the world comes back in, when you're back to doing your normal work that you go to, when you're dealing with your normal daily routines, that's when it gets hard.
Mm.
When the counselling's gone, when the people who you're talking to aren't there anymore, when all you've got is deal with knobheads, that's when it all comes back. That's when you start, I don't want this. I had a good job. Up until 2 years ago. I worked for a company for 20 years. They put me through college. I got my HNC in mechanical engineering. I had a good job where I was looking after a machine shop. Not above averagely paid. And that all got too much for me. I couldn't deal with civvies. I couldn't deal with the way civvies deal with each other. Like I said earlier, I still think people deserve corrective therapy. Not just in military, but in civvies as well. Some of them need a real good slapping. Because they're just too cheeky. They're just too gobby. You ask them to do something, it's like, just do it. Don't matter why I've asked you to do it, just do it. And I couldn't cope with that. That got too much for me. watching so-called friends stand on each other's toes to get to places. That all got to me, and you know, unfortunately, I gave up. I gave up work because I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't cope with that side of things. Yeah.
So what does the last few years look like for yourself?
So, I'd say about 4 years ago, I got a notification from Help for Heroes about going on a car control day in Oxfordshire with a company or a charity called Mission Motorsport, who were set up by and run by ex-military. And I thought, go on, I like driving. I've always liked driving. I'll go on that. I'll just see how good I am at driving. Pretty crap, actually, as it turns out. And I went on that, and I met some guys there, and it was that thing that I missed, that belonging to something that I've missed since coming out of the army.
The camaraderie.
That camaraderie.
The banter.
That piss taking.
Piss taking, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. And that taking the mick out of each other, but respecting each other.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No boundaries. You understand boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You understand the boundaries. You know what? It's a lot further on than it is in a civvy, but there is a limit.
Yeah.
And it was good. And I was sat in my car for half of it. I didn't get out of my car because I didn't want to talk to anybody. I was going through a pretty low time. I was battling with the depression and everything like that, and the anxiety, and like, nobody will get me here, and self-pity as well.
Okay.
Because let's face it, we go through a self-pity phase as well. And I came out of the car. I got out of the car, and I started talking to people, and that's when I started opening up. And I got more involved during the day as the day went on, and I got asked back to do other things with the charity, and it was great getting to know the people at the charity, the people who work there, and I'll be honest with you, they do some phenomenal, amazing work, and for a little charity, I say a little charity, they do so much. They put so much work into what they do. They have so much time for the people that they get involved with, or that get involved with the charity. I can't fault a single one of them. And like I said, apart from one of the people, everybody else is ex-military. They've only got one. No, they might have two now that are not military. But the other one, the female, she's connected to the military because her husband's serving. So they all know what's going on, how people are.
This is Mission Motorsport.
This is
right?
Mission Motorsport. And I honestly, they've done so much for me, and they've done so much for other people in my position.
So if you had to summarise this charity for somebody that has maybe never heard of them or never been to one of their events, how would you describe what they do for military personnel or ex-military personnel?
In a word, it's phenomenal. In a word, it's phenomenal. It is, honestly. They just do so much, and they listen to people. They care. They care. I'm not dissing Help for Heroes or anybody like that. But they're family. They treat you like family.
And what's the kind of stuff they put on?
So they do car control days. They do track days. They do go-karting. They do auto test days. And they don't just do them in one place neither. There's an event in Wigan in a couple of weeks' time. There's an event at Thruxton in a week's time. there's
We're recording this early, so that this will be going out in July.
Yeah, sorry.
So I don't know what those dates would look like in
yeah,
July, but
yeah, okay. There've been 79 events up to now.
wow,
No,
there's so much happening.
There is.
Yeah.
You can't. It's all geared around motorsport. That is one thing I will tell you.
Yeah.
I've been myself personally. I've been to. I've had a track day at. My first track day was at Brands Hatch.
Nice.
I've been round the Nürburgring, drove round the Nürburgring, been driven round the Nürburgring, been driven round in a McLaren something fancy that I can't remember, but it was like stinkingly brand new. So I've been there a couple of times. I did the final lap at Rockingham, so I was lucky enough, unlucky enough, whichever way people want to look at it, to drive the last lap at Rockingham before they closed it down to cars and it became a massive car park. Goodwood, I've drove Goodwood in my own car, and in a Jag P600. Three Sisters in Wigan. I've done loads of stuff with them.
Yeah.
And like it, but the main thing is that's just a caveat. That's just a caveat. The main thing is I feel like I belong to something. And I think a lot of people, I know all my friends that I've made through Missions Motorsport will say exactly the same as I'm saying. They're part of a family.
Mm-hmm.
And they're part of something that they miss. And for me, that's a big thing. That's a big thing. One of my recurring dreams, if you like, that I have is my final day of the army. And I always, and I'm not ashamed to say this, I always wake up crying from it. Because that's how much I miss it.
But when you go to these events...
But when I go to these events...
You're getting a taster and rekindling that fire, right?
Exactly. And you're taking the mick out of each other. Even the guy who's never belonged to the army understands our sense of humour and joins in with it and doesn't get offended with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Does not get offended with it. Because when he told me that he wasn't ex-military, I couldn't believe it. Because it's like, well, most civvies are like, you know, and no disrespect to anyone, because, you know, but that's, and it's great.
Yeah.
It's great to belong to that, to have that sort of family, and to give back. It's great. I was saying to you earlier, wasn't I, before we came on air, about I don't get any more enjoyment than putting a smile on somebody's face. And being able to do things with a charity, volunteer with things with a charity, and see people's faces that were like me, who was sat in the car and thought, you know, like if it was Eeyore, you know, the donkey, you know, like that.
Yeah,
Bit like Eeyore, like, no, the world's crap. And they see them at the end of the day, and a smile on their faces, and you think, wow. And they all say thank you to you. They come up to you and they say, thank you for this. I've had such a wonderful time. And you think, yeah, I'm just one person who's put a smile on your face. So you're feeling that good. There's however many people here that have put a smile on my face. So as good as you feel now, I feel 50 times better. And you can't beat that feeling. There's no feeling like putting a smile on somebody's face and making somebody feel good about themselves. Nothing.
I think you said that was 4 or 5 years ago that you went to the first Mission Motorsport thing, and what did you just said something about you weren't very good, right? And I think I laughed at that. Whatever you've done in that last 4 to 5 years is loads, because you and I crossed paths for the first time last year, end of 2020, when we weren't in a lockdown, at Thruxton.
Yeah.
And you took me around in a Jag. So I was the passenger, and you took me around in the Jag on the skid pan.
Yeah.
You got skills, man. Like when you drive the car, yeah, you're pretty goddamn good.
It's all practice, though, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
You put a smile on my face, so you did what you wanted to do.
I love it. I love going out doing things like that. I do. I can't, you know, like I said when I was a kid, what kid wouldn't want to drive around the field going you know,
Yeah.
on a tractor
Yeah.
and just drive and drive and drive. What kid wouldn't? And it's like, same now. What man who likes cars, who loves motorsport, wouldn't smile when they're on a skid pan having fun
Yeah.
on a skid? Who wouldn't smile?
Exactly.
I love it. I love going back there, and I could spend all day on there just going round and round in circles and kicking the back end of a car out
Yeah.
and getting it into a drift or into a slide and controlling it. Who wouldn't want to do that
Yeah.
in a Jag? I've drove some brilliant cars while I've been involved with Mission Motorsport. Like I say, I've been a passenger in some brilliant cars that are worth a lot of money. I've drove Morgan plus sixes, Caterhams. A guy let me have a go in his Aston Martin. I've got a video of me because I'm that surprised. I'm like, I did a video. Oh yes, or council-house kid in an Aston Martin, and I've got the guy let me drive his Aston Martin.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why would you not want to carry on doing that? Why would that not excite somebody? Why would that not put a smile on somebody's face? Porsche 911s, all sorts of things I've been in, and I've got to drive. Do you know, for somebody who started off in a crappy little workman's village, and I'm now driving cars like that, was part of a team of veterans that was in a live show at the 2020 Autosport show at the NEC in front of however many people every day for I think we did 12 shows in all.
Okay.
So 12 shows over 3 days. And you're doing this show and everybody's watching you and all lights are on you.
That's cool. It sounds like you found your spark in that area.
It's brilliant. I love it.
And, you know, I hadn't been part of Mission Motorsport before, hadn't experienced an event, but I felt very welcome. Hopefully I can come back for more. But, yeah, you've definitely, I think, found an area where you feel you can give back, and you've definitely got your spark back from what Mission Motorsport have given to you. So that's good.
They have. And I want to give them something back. And so I've stupidly decided that I'm going to do a very long cycle ride over quite a few days, starting on the 1st of May. I'm sorry if I'm giving this a plug, but...
No, absolutely, go for it. It's your episode.
But...
So 1st of May 2021.
1st of May 2021.
Bearing in mind this is not going live until July.
Yeah.
So
balls.
So what does that mean? Does that mean you're going to be...
So I've already done this, right? So I've already done this. But hopefully, anybody who's listening, I've already done this. But so starting 2 months ago, I'm riding 50 miles a day for 50 days.
Oh, what?
And then I might not have done this yet. I might be in the middle of this, but I'm cycling from Gretna Green to Stranraer, which is just over 100 miles, getting the ferry from Stranraer to Belfast, cycling from Belfast down to near Dublin, which is just over 100 miles, doing that in a day. And then the second day, I'm doing a further 100 and odd miles from where I stopped just outside Dublin down to Rosyth.
Wow.
Getting the ferry from there to Fishguard, doing 100 miles through Wales to, I think that takes me near Chepstow, or maybe just before Chepstow. And then I'm doing the last 100 miles from Chepstow to Mission Motorsport HQ in Wantage in Oxfordshire. So it's basically, the last 500, just over 500 miles. So 500 miles, 5 days in 5 different countries.
Wow.
It's just over, altogether, it's just over 3,100 miles.
My God.
So if anybody's listening to this, hopefully my pages are still up on Virgin Money or Virgin Money Giving, Tristan Dover, on GoFundMe, Tristan Dover, and on the other one. I can't remember what the other one is.
No?
GoFundMe, Just Giving, Just Giving.
Just Giving is the
So,
one.
so yeah. So Just Giving, GoFundMe,
And Virgin.
and Virgin Money Giving. Tristan Dover. Just look for that. I've probably already done it, but if it's still up, if you can chuck, do you know what? If 3,000 people give £1 each, that's £3,000 you give.
There you go.
And that means that the charity that have helped me out and so many other people like me can carry on helping people that need some help.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
anything anybody can give will be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, of course it will. Even if it's an old brass button, brass gets weighed in. You get a few pence for that. But anything that anybody can spur is greatly appreciated. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you so much, man. Well, it sounds like we're coming to the end of the show. But I'm going to give you this opportunity, if you'd like, to maybe give advice or words of wisdom to people that might be thinking about joining the military in any country. Would you give them advice to do so?
Follow your hopes and your dreams and don't let anybody put you off them. Obstacles get put in people's way for a reason, and you can either learn from them obstacles or you can avoid them obstacles and you can run away from it. Face them head on, because it'll make you a stronger person in the long run. Never be ashamed of anything that you've done, because you've done that for a reason, and whether it is a bad thing or it's a good thing. There are reasons behind everything.
Cool. Thanks, man. And I think the last point is advice maybe that you can give to veterans, be that someone that's been a veteran for 10, 15 years or someone that's maybe just about to leave the military. Have you got any advice from them, considering you've been a veteran for a while?
If you're struggling, don't struggle on your own, and don't ever tell yourself that you don't deserve help. Whether you've been a blanket stacker or you've been a frontline troop, you've served your country and you do deserve your help. Go and get it. Don't be ashamed of taking medication, because and I'm saying this mainly to men, so I apologise, women. Don't be ashamed because you're a man, and men are meant to be, we're men and we're strong. Get the help. Take your medication if you need your medication. Go and speak to your doctor. And again, as I said before, to the people that are thinking of joining, follow your dreams. Follow your dreams. Only one person will stop you achieving what you want to achieve within reason, and that's yourself. Don't ever doubt yourself. Don't ever doubt that you aren't good enough, that you aren't smart enough, that you aren't strong enough, that you aren't big enough. If you've got a dream, follow it, even if it means you've got to get help off somebody else. If you've got to get financial help or physical help, follow it.
Good advice, man. Good advice. So, like I say, we're pretty much at the end. How have you found it? Was it good going down memory lane? I know it was difficult at times, but all in all, what you shared was pretty amazing.
I enjoyed it. You know, I'm not, like I say, I'm not ashamed of getting upset. I'm not ashamed. There are things that I'm ashamed of, but I'm not ashamed about getting upset about them things that I'm ashamed of. I'm just me. So I can only be me.
Yeah. Well, I say this to all my guests, but thank you for sharing. You know, difficult as it may be at certain points, but thank you for that. Thank you for doing that.
Okay, thank you for having me in for the second time. Well, not having me in, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. And I also say this to everybody. Thank you for your time. It's something we don't have infinite amount of, and you've given me some today. So thank you for that. Thank you for your time.
No problem.
And the very last thing, which I haven't pre-warned you, but thank you for your service.
Thank you.
No problem. This has been Military Veterans Podcast, out.